Hey Faith Family, welcome to the Beyond Sunday podcast at Calvary Bible, where we go beyond the Sunday sermon to explore some rabbit holes and to bring some biblical truths to the surface. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Hello there, and welcome to the Beyond Sunday podcast at Calvary Bible Church. My name is Landon Owen. I'm the pastor of student and worship ministries here, and to my right, your left, would be Pastor Randy, and your last name? Pelton. Wow, could you hear it in his voice? Pelton. That's some powerful Pelton is what we call you behind your back.
Oh my word, yeah.
We're thankful to be with you today. Thank you for tuning in. Were you about to say something? I didn't mean to cut you off.
What are you doing here? Tell this dear person, what are you doing here?
I'm excited to be here. They thought, we finally have to upgrade. We're sick of Jonathan. We're sick of Jordan. We need somebody that can actually carry this thing.
That's so great.
Jonathan is on his sabbatical for the next 3 months, and Jordan is out today. That for some reason that I don't know.
I don't know. He said he was too busy. But
Jordan does a great job. We love Jordan, but I'm stepping in today. So third string.
Good to see you.
But they say that the third batter in a lineup is usually
really
the best one. Yeah, really it's the most important one. So I'm thankful to be that for you guys today, for all of us.
Thanks for doing it.
Well, we're supposed to start these things with a joke from what I understand.
Really? Is that? Now, who told you that?
I think it just came through the grapevine, though I don't deal with a lot of grapes that often. But let me be honest with you, Pastor Randy. I don't have a joke. I came in here unprepared, and for that, I'm sorry. I guess that's what happens when you get down to the third string.
Are you?
So as a grandfather, as a peepaw, or what is they call you Pepe?
French. French for grandfather.
I just figured you have to have a joke all the time ready to go.
I don't.
No. There's no
because,
way.
Like, I wanted
all
to ask
good
you,
Pepes have one.
Are you a joke person or no? Because you've got a good sense of humor.
I love jokes. Yeah. I think they're funnier though when they come naturally and not when they're like prepared.
Like the ones Jonathan feeds me every single week.
Exactly.
Well, I think you and I are kind of the same then. I like a good sense of humor. I like joking around. But I'm not a joke person. Like, I can't remember them. I can't tell them. It's like, I'm lame.
Fine, I'll do one. One just came to mind. And I could tell by the way you were talking that you really did want me to do one, actually.
You misread me.
I don't know if you've heard this one before. A dog walks into, for the sake of this podcast, we'll call it a library.
Yeah.
A dog walks into a library and looks around and says, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw." See what I did there?
Unfortunately, I saw it. It's very unfortunate.
Well, everybody, we're looking back at the sermon from this past Sunday where we were in Matthew 25.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great sermon. We talked a lot about how many angels there are. That was my biggest takeaway. Was it a host or multitudes?
So you were listening.
I was. Whenever I woke up, that's what I caught.
Good for you. I don't get to say these things hardly ever, but so for you listening, for this person listening to us or watching us, I'm really glad you're here. Like, I'm really glad you're a part of this whole deal.
Thank you very much. I love being here.
It's great. So I'm glad for that. Beyond Sunday for us is an opportunity. You know this. It's an opportunity for us to try to keep thinking about, we read a text, we read scripture together on Sunday, and then Monday comes, and is there a way for us to talk through how to continue to put that into practice? So one of the questions that came up right after church was, would I speak to the issue of differentiating between the needs of people out there that are outside the church versus the needs of the people inside the church?
Sure.
So that came up. That came up in our text with the specific word that Jesus uses for. He calls those in need his brothers. If you did it to the least of his brothers, you did it to me.
Yeah.
And so again, the assumption is this is beyond Sunday, so you heard Sunday. So when Jesus is saying, here's the criteria by which you are ready for the return of Christ and the judgment that occurs at his coming, when he takes his seat, gathers all people to him, all the nations, leaders, citizens, and then he assesses them, he divides them, sheep on the right, goats on the left. Very familiar imagery for the ancient world, but also for Lancaster County. When he makes that division, the division is based upon the criteria of have I met the practical needs of Jesus by meeting the practical needs of his brothers and sisters. So when the question was asked, could I speak to what about those who are outside of the church? So what I quoted to the gentleman on Sunday is from Galatians 6:10. So if you were also thinking about that, Galatians 6:10 says, so then as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. So that verse is the most specific verse we have to say it is distinctly Christian. Christ followers meet the needs of everyone that they see that has a need that they can meet. But when Paul in this particular text says, and especially to those who are of the household of faith, that shows you the priority that exists between those in the faith family that we would call our brothers and sisters versus a non-Christian in my neighborhood, let's say, that has a need that Michelle and I might be able to meet and want to meet and should meet. But that distinction, once again, Galatians 6:10, so then as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. So that was one of the questions that came up.
That makes sense.
So we sort of make that distinction.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And thank you for whoever asked that question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciated it too. Now, can I go back? So let's keep doing this because you and I
to Maine, you mean?
No, although probably the weather would be pretty decent, but the black flies would be bad and the mosquitoes would be bad. So you'd have to be prepared for that. Just before we wrap this up, because maybe we have maybe this is our opportunity to set records for like the quickest podcast.
It's possible.
Instead of the longest. Why would we want to set the record for the longest one that distresses everyone?
People enjoy it.
Yeah, no, probably not so much. Probably not that much. But what if we could do a really short, concise one and somebody would say, wow, okay, they can do it quickly. Anyway, this text, what we were dealing with, Matthew 25:31 to the end of the chapter. So it goes all the way to 46. Remember, all of this is dealing with one particular element of the return of Christ. So the kingdom of heaven is like these things. Well, what is it like? Well, what we have is it's like what's going to happen when the Lord returns. It's like a shepherd dividing the entire human race into two camps. And so the primary worship response for us as we head into this week is to make sure that we're on the right, not on the left. We want to be those who are hearing the invitation, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. We do not want to hear the rejection. Verse 41, we do not want to hear, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So the big thing for Beyond Sunday is, if the Lord comes today, do I meet the criteria? The criteria in this text was very clearly meeting the practical needs of Jesus, because he's fully identified with his brothers and sisters. And for us, I tried to make it so clear. Look around you, faith family, just look. These are your folks. This is your faith family. And we all can meet the criteria by allowing our faith to go to work and make sure that we are meeting these practical needs. So are you ready for his return? I mean, that would be, I tried to say it on Sunday. I'll say it we're recording on a Tuesday late morning. Landon and I just want to say, make sure you're ready. He says we don't know when he's coming, so we have to stay ready. He taught us that he'll come at a time we don't expect him, so we need to stay ready. So that's kind of the way this works.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, I think I'm so thankful for your application there. That passages like this, especially when it comes to the final judgment, are so often just used to analyze what's going to happen in the final days, and that's where our main focus is. We just want to be analytical about, well, what does this really mean? When is it actually going to happen? But our main concern is, it doesn't matter. It's happening. Be prepared. Yeah. God offers you an opportunity. He gave you Jesus Christ so that you can find this redemption and not have to be like the goats on the left, but rather receive that invitation. So if you take anything away from this passage and this podcast especially, be prepared. Be ready.
It's not the number of angels.
No. Although I do want to know.
I know, don't you?
However, in saying that, I do have a follow-up question, probably my only question.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask all the time, and especially to pastors, this sort of apologetic question that they think is going to stump you. And this is where I think the answer is found. But you as pastor and professor, I'm sorry if I'm catching you off guard with this. Tell me whether or not that is true. An all-good God, why would he create hell?
Yeah.
Why would he create it for humans? Why would he try to torture us? And I think in verse 41 is that where we find the real answer, where it says, then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. So rather than, stop me if I'm wrong, rather than it actually being prepared for...
No, you're doing good.
Humans, it was... eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels, said by Jesus himself. The
hardest thing for this particular generation coming up through, and I don't know actually if you're included in the age group. If you are, you're on maybe the tail end of it.
I'm a Gen Zer, if that's what you mean.
You are.
I am.
So one of the difficult things is there's a lot of struggle with how can I reconcile God with all of this talk about judgment and it's always been there, but it's especially poignant now, I think, to this generation. They look around and they see a lot of the chaos that's happening in the world and say, I just can't reconcile the two. I think the best thing that you can do with this is to think about, God saying, look, I'm going to create the world, and God says, I'm going to create this world. What is the best way for me to create a world that brings me glory? Now, I want to start with that premise because of all the things in Scripture that we talk about. The glory of God is very, very important. His reputation is critical. So if you read the Old Testament in particular, and I urge you to keep reading it because it creates that wonderful theological foundation for New Testament teaching. God created this world the way he did because it is the best way to put his glory on display. Now, I can tell you personally as a human being, I'm not thrilled with the whole way this goes. But I am convinced that God is God and I am not, and therefore I am going to say that his glory is the most important thing in his world, therefore it's the most important thing in my world. So I prefer to talk like that when it comes to why did God create this world like this? He knew this was going to happen. The Satan and the angels, he knew because he created hell for them. He knew that the rebellion was going to happen as recorded in Genesis 3. He knew all of this. Why did he do this? And my probably lame theological answer is, but he is showing something tremendous about his glory, about his mercy, about his kindness, but also about this thing which our world is really into, and that is justice. So
we do love justice.
Yeah, we do. So anyway,
which I think is
that's a quick answer to
thank you for that.
A really hard issue. But yeah, good. Hey, we're doing it.
We are.
You and I are doing it.
Are there any other practical applications? So Jesus is coming. We need to be prepared. Any other practical applications that we need to weave into our everyday life from this scripture?
I just would think, okay, if you're like me, it's possible that you actually struggle to find a person to be kind to practically like this. If you're like me, and I'm thinking about my little neighborhood across the street here. I think about my neighborhood and I go, wow, what in the world do I? So it is possible that you just can't find someone. But you mentioned a couple of things here earlier that please remember that every Sunday, every reading, every podcast, when Landon said, when Landon brings the gospel into this is a Jesus thing for us. This is, we are going to stand before him and declare a confession that we love him, that we're loyal to him, that we trusted him, that we believe in him. If we do, remember how it goes on Sunday, when you see Christ, and here's the language again, when you hear, depart from me, you cursed. That's what happens to Jesus on the cross. The Father does that to Jesus because he's dying for my sins. If that does not warm my heart towards others in need, that's a sign that I don't believe the gospel. Yeah. So that's about as tight a connection between faith in Christ and practically being ready for the return of him. That's about as tight as connection I can make. If my heart is warmed by the thought of Christ leaving the presence of God while he dies for my sin as a curse. That language also, by the way, coming from Galatians, which I quoted earlier. If I can see Christ dying for me and becoming that curse for me in my place, that warms my heart toward others in need. Look at what God did for me. How can I not feel compassion for those who need help from me that I can assist? So that clear gospel, that keeps us from being a moralist, right?
I don't like being a moralist.
I know you don't. That keeps me from saying to you on a Sunday, okay, go out and try harder to meet the needs of someone. And if you do, good for you. You're meeting the criteria. That's not doing it as a Christian. So God keep us from that moralistic angle.
I hope it's not easy to say, but some could look at this and say, so our actions are tied to our salvation. Do you think that this connects to what James says about faith and works?
Yeah. And I only hinted at a little bit, but it comes up all the time. And I mentioned our Wednesday night studies where this is one of those things where Jesus and Paul and James and Peter, all of these authors, all of these speakers, including Jesus himself, are all talking about the same thing that was in place during the early Old Testament times, that when God creates a righteous person, that happens by faith. But that faith also creates a practical righteousness. And so they all say it in different ways. Now, thanks for bringing it up, because the danger for us is we read this and we go, oh, that smacks like a works-based salvation that you can earn it. And I said on Sunday, no, this is not about earning salvation. This is about providing the evidence that's necessary to prove that your faith is genuine. Now, I don't know if I said it on Sunday, but I said it to so many people this week. So our studies on Wednesday night, just think about God saying that when a believer is at the judgment, God is actually justifying his choice of that person. God justifies his choice of that person because this person has the evidence of a genuine faith. So God says, no, I chose that person, and now this person is showing that choice was the right choice. So anyway, there's a lot we could do with that. I mean, there's a lot of nuances that I just opened up there, but not for Beyond Sunday.
Not for Beyond Sunday.
What is Beyond Sunday, though, is making sure that we're all ready for his return. So Is that good, you think?
I think it's great.
All right, man.
Church, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please send them to podcast@cbcmj.com, and we would love to get back to you. That's all for now. This is Landon. This is Pastor Randy Powerful Pelton signing off.
Thanks again for joining us on today's episode. And remember, our Sunday sermons are meant to lead us to a life of worship beyond Sunday.